So yeah, it gets down to, because if you, like, actually, one workshop, I don't know if the other guys said this one here, but there are some places now, because to use all the time, the minutes of the day they have, they're actually bring lunch into people's classes now, sandwiches or whatever, and don't have a formal lunch period anymore. I don't know how that's gonna work, but that's what they're doing. I mean, there's a lot of innovation, a lot of thinking going on in Travis Group. I've determined that education is always going to be in flux. Even 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's always going to have these discussions. But the responsibility of the board, though, is how can we make it better now? And that's what we're doing, as best as we can.
Well, I think another thing that none of us has talked about tonight, but you know, when you change the age limit that a kid can drop out of school, you know, I think all of us around the table knows that it takes more money to keep kids in school that don't want to be there. And then if you go to some of the shops, you know, there's innovative ideals that I know we don't do in this district as of right now. And some of it is, you know, the kids go to school like right now, they'd be in school. But for the simple reason that I have to work, or, you know, I have to take care of my mother, or I have a little baby, and I have to take care of the baby, you know, so I have to have a job making some kind of income. And so I have heard of a couple of districts that, you know, they're doing these kind of things. And that's the way that they keep that zero dropout. And though as far as the graduation rate, that's the way they get that also up. They graduated, and I think even some of those districts, I think they even supply the computer. If they're doing part of it online, then they supply the computer to the home or wherever that student is.
Well, I'd like to say there's two ways that we need to address that. One is that those kinds of ways, and we're doing a little bit of that at our UC Spalding Academy.
Okay.
But, you know, I do think we need to be innovative for those kinds of kids, but I also think when we do a strategic plan, we need to think about when they walk through that door.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're prepared and they continue to be on math and reading level, they're not going to drop out of school. Because it's when kids get behind is when we lose them. And we don't lose them when they walk through the door at Marion County High School. We lose them
way down the road.
Yes, we do. So we got to look at it both ways. That's what I would advocate for.
And we talked a little bit about this even Saturday night. And that is, a lot of times you take like 3rd, 4th grade, that's when it begins to show up the most, when kids are not on level. And a lot of times that's when kids begin to show off or act up. And I think a lot of times they do that simply to, you know, hide where they're at academically. And so, you know, if I make a ruckus, then I change what's going on. And I think you used a good example. You know, you asked Mary, what does so-and-so, and she says, all right, would you please stand and tell us about that? And then she said, and so then that's the start of things. But that's a way to get around that she wasn't prepared or she don't know.
And everybody talks about early childhood. Everybody talks about it. I don't care who it is. Across this country, every time you talk about education, they talk about preschool. Everybody talks about preschool. That we should have our kids in preschool. Well, I've heard that for 13 years now, and we still haven't got there yet. We still haven't got there yet. I mean, I asked for information at one time to show me, to tell me how many kids that are in the 3rd or 4th grade now who went to preschool. And how are they as far as, how do they compare to the rest of the class? Something happened that never did get done. I would still like to know that. I think it would be interesting for us to see
And can I say something there?
Sure.
With this current kindergarten Brigance that all incoming kindergartners take at the beginning.
Tell him what Brigance is.
It's the screener test that they look at to determine if the child is ready for kindergarten. It's not entrance exam or anything.
Right.
It's just saying, you know, where
Get an
are they?
idea.
Yes. And, but based on that, this year they added a prior setting data, and so we actually have not only the results from that screener, we also have where they were last year,
Okay.
before they came in, the 12 months prior.
So do you have
So,
any,
I do have that data, and I just recently shared it with Ms. Schlosser and Ms. Newcomb, and,
But he
But we
wants
can-
to know.
do you care to elaborate on that? Without, you don't have to give us
Right.
specifics, but how does it look? Are those that go to preschool?
overall, our district fares better than the state average as far as the number of preschool, or the number of students entering kindergarten,
Mhm.
being ready. The state average is right about 50%, and I think our district was at 57%.
All right, let me ask you this. Are you talking about kids who go to daycare at certain daycares here in Lebanon? Are you considering that as preschool?
The prior settings, it has options for state-funded preschool, which would be our program, Head Start, daycare, and there's options. When I pull that data, you can actually see some of them are entered where they attended, and, home, private sitters, kin care, and other. Those are
Right.
pretty much the categories that they're looking at. But yes, I mean,
Is
the
it,
daycares would be considered probably a preschool program. Most of them are around.
okay, is it too early to determine whether, if you look at those that go to, what do you call it? Cornerstone, as opposed to Head Start. Head Start is a government-funded preschool, right? Okay, so if you look at those two, can you compare those two?
I can now. It just has daycare in general, so it could be children from Cornerstone, it could be kids from Loretto Daycare.
Okay,
There's a lot of daycares that we factor in,
I see.
and they're all kind of lumped together. But there's a comparison of those,
Okay,
and I don't care to share that information,
right.
in the near future with you all.
Do you agree that preschool is necessary? We're right on board with everybody else in the country, I guess. Funding it is just evidently the problem, finding the room. For us, it would be finding the room and funding the program, so.
Which will go along with our facilities plan
Right.
when we have that conversation.
Let's think about it. We keep talking about preschool, but as far as the administration is concerned, is this something we're looking at down the road soon, or is this something we're looking at way in the future? How do you all look at that?
Vernon, I already know where to find get rooms.
Mr. Spalding would like to speak
sorry.
with
That-
respect to a facility issue.
That really affects both facets of my responsibility, with transportation and facilities with space
Right.
for both. And not having a centralized location to be logistic, if we use the outlying school, we have to get everybody from town out, or we have to bring everybody in. And obviously it'd be easier to have a central location we're already coming to one central location for our high school or something of that magnitude. But we gotta look at that part, it's logistics for transportation. Then you get into the facility side of where do we go? Because what we're already doing K through 12, we're pretty much occupying all of our space for the most part already with those programs. Where do we put the additional students that are not in our 5 already preschool classrooms? So that kind of leads into bricks and mortar conversation, and then it goes back to where our bonding potential of it, taking care of what we have and then expanding on to the future. If we have this, how do we sustain that facility?
Now, in some districts, what they do is they have preschool and they actually have, you can do tuition and they do daycare with that. So a child would do half a day preschool and then the other half of the day they do daycare. And if we did something like that, and I think that we will work on the numbers and look at what that would look like staffing wise, because a preschool teacher could teach a group in the morning and then a second group in the afternoon. And so 20 is the cap, correct me if I'm wrong. So one teacher could actually teach 40 students. But her morning group would have to go to another room,
Right.
and then she would have her afternoon group, and it would be vice versa. So, I mean, that's something that we talk about quite often in here, and we talk about it with respect to.
How many
facilities,
classrooms,
staff.
I'm just talking with
Okay.
you. Like Center Square, how many classrooms are available there? And then the other thing we talked about, but like, as you said, it does get into the transportation part also. But, I mean, like, there's Raywick Elementary down there that the school system rented from them. That was because I went to school there, I was public school. And then there's Holy Cross, that was the same way, it was rented. But there's classrooms there. I mean, but that's part of strategic planning. What do you look at and what can we come up with?
Because there's lots of requirements that goes along with preschool.
Please, that.
Lots of requirements.
Playgrounds, there's all kinds of different things that we.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's all kinds of hoops to jump through. I mean, we have to do all these things in order to accommodate the children. So we're not just looking at, it would be great to think, well, there's buildings out there that we could use, but they would have to be, renovated to the point where we meet all the requirements. So, and that wouldn't be cheap, I'm sure, so. Anybody got anything else?
It's kind of some of the things we talked about, some ideas to talk about how to utilize. If we go to one business meeting a month, and the second is related to workshops, those kinds of things. And I've thought about this a lot since this weekend. And if we've all talked about, I've heard talk to one board member in neighboring county, actually, they have a lot of people show up. Typically it's because they have issues, but even when we have issues, we're not going to show up. So I don't know what it is about people not showing up for our board meeting. Occasionally we'll have somebody show up, but typically it has to do with people that are getting awards, those kinds of things. But, I'm about letting people know what's going on in our school system. So, and it's kind of like open up the windows, let some fresh air in, or let fresh air out. If you can't get people to come in here, why not take it to them? So I thought about this, doing a virtual tour of central office. Whether it be redo it, or have it professionally done, introduce the chairman, the board members, give them 3 to 5 minutes to speak about it, go around to all the office, all the administrators, talk about what their positions are and what they do, have them on film, let people know who they are, and do the same thing for principals, to the building leaders. And then after we did that, and we had some ideas we talked about, Scott and I did, about, he's showing all this technology. We got this fine technology. He's sitting there in downtown Louisville with the guard house, showing what the temperature was in so-and-so room in a particular building. And if a teacher calls in, the room's too cold, too hot, he can immediately, change the temperature. So I think that letting our citizens know this is what we're able to do. Because we do have some fine infrastructure and technology, we really do. There's no reason why we can't use it, and let people know we're using it. And the other thing is that I think from a superintendent's leadership is this year when Mr. Ed Acker was on the board, we talked about finding efficiencies. And lo and behold, just a general conversation, we talked about how we change some bus routes. And it'd be a nice little workshop. It'd be 15-20-minute presentation by you. Maybe at another meeting, have somebody else come in and do a presentation, talk about another area in our school district, whatever. So I'd like to see us to move just some ideas out there, not a proposal per se, a formal one anyway. But I'd like to see, we take education out to our people. I'd like to get some feedback from there from fellow members.
Well, it sounds like a good idea. Years ago, we did was it monthly or quarterly? We had a magazine, a little pamphlet, wasn't a magazine,
Every 3.
Was it every 3 months? So every quarter we'd send out this thing, and who was in charge of that? No, actually.
Melissa Knight.
Melissa Knight actually printed it up, people gave her the information and stuff, and she put it all in format, and, that circulated. I'm not sure how long that lasted, a year or two, but it was to showcase the school system, let people know what we were doing, show them the different things that were going on.
Diane,
The kids
did
were
the
taking them
Enterprise
home.
print that from? Or you been? Was it the Enterprise that printed it?
Melissa and I, we contracted with her, we actually paid her a fee because I know she
Who,
was.
Enterprise,
No,
No.
Melissa and I.
She took
She
it on
did
herself
that,
to
she
take
did
care
that
of
art.
it. Yeah.
And I think what Mike's saying is now it's about doing it
Yeah,
using
using
technology.
technology.
Well, that's technology, but just take what we do inside the buildings
We
out
need
and
to
show
take some
people.
programs and.
Right.
I think Ms. Slosher and I had a conversation just in passing today talking about Facebook and the Compass Learning post with the YouTube video showing parents how to log in. And we really need to do a better job, I think, of utilizing that across the district to highlight our positive. And, as a goal, we just talked about it in passing in terms of trying to have 3 posts a week that are positive, highlighting something in schools or even, on our district webpage, because she's noticed that, and I think you sent out an email today about how the frequency of users has increased over these snow days, because she's done a really good job of communicating on Facebook to, for example, last night I'm gonna make a decision by 5:30 in the morning, and everyone's seeing that and they know, and it puts them at ease, and they know, okay, we're not gonna get a phone call tonight, we're gonna get it in the morning by this time. So I think, Facebook doesn't cost us anything. That's something that I think some of our schools have a Facebook page, so that might be a means of communicating better that we could do.
For example, we talk about Compass Learning and the Odyssey program. I mean, I know it's been in the paper, been on the news, but how many people really know what it is? Would it be nice if you could take 30 minutes maybe with Channel 6 and just talk about Compass Learning? Was 30 minutes probably wouldn't do it justice, but at least to get people have some idea of what we're trying to do with our kids. Rather than wait until next fall, get the results and say, well, it's too late to help these kids. Whereas now we can help them right away. And that could be a session by itself.
And Kurt Mattingly shared last night on Facebook a post on Compass Learning. It was just a short clip, and I saw several people share, saw several teachers comment and parents, and I also saw parents of kids that aren't from Marion County say, what is this? I like that. And so.
Well, and there was way that you could hire a teacher. Just doing something exceptional.
Yeah.
Well, if you notice, if you go to our website, Tim and them have something, and it'll go through and show you several things.
Right.
And a lot of times they do have a footnote about what it's about.
Well, I'm
An
not.
academic team or, different.
Well, not everybody goes to the website, but there'll just be another avenue though to have the TV station do that. And by the way, let me back up just for a second. Our website, talking about transparency, what this is all coming down to. I've been on the website of other districts, and it's amazingly how difficult it is to navigate through some of the websites. You can't even find their agenda. You can't even figure out who the school board members are. You can't figure out how to find their policies. But in our case, you can. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's, we have done a good job with that here. I'm really pleased with it is.
Do we, on our webpage, I've never looked at our staff, our teachers. Are all our teachers on there?
Each individual school has their own webpage.
Right, and they have each
their-
teacher.
their
Do they have their phone numbers on the webpage?
Their home phone
Uh-huh.
numbers.
I doubt it.
We probably don't require them to do that.
I would say that may be something. Now, see, you know, of course, with the union, we were not allowed to give anybody's personal telephone number out. Now, I could take a number from you, and I could get a hold of them and ask them to call them,
Right.
but we were not allowed to personally give out.
Their email address is available,
Oh,
Okay,
so all of their email addresses are
okay.
available.
We used to send a staff directory, and Teresa Combs told us to stop doing that due to privacy. So we don't even do it out to the schools.
Well, and I can imagine, you know, a teacher probably not wanting their phone number out there because they would get so many calls. But I know when I ran for school board the first time, I had a question just about an hour before I was going out to the TV station, and I couldn't find a teacher to ask. I couldn't find a phone number. I mean, I had about 6 teachers that I knew, and I couldn't find them in the phone book. Couldn't, you know, their numbers aren't in the phone book. They just didn't want. And I can understand that. So, but I was just wondering. I didn't know if they was on the web page or not. But I have had people comment. I mean, I work with a bunch of guys that have kids in other school systems, and they pay attention to certain things, and they really like our webpage.
Good.
So
Good.
I thought that was interesting, because they teased me about being from Marion County, and you know, everybody from Marion County is, you know, to them is, you know, down here. Everybody from where they come from, up here, we're all down here. I mean, they teased me about that. So, but they do like our webpage. So I thought that was pretty nice. Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. And I agree with Mike, and we talked about it, we're looking at doing a work session once a month, so we'll get that in the works as quick as we can start. Next on our agenda is our consent items.
I'll make a motion that the board approve the following consent items, minutes of the January 28, 2014 board meeting.
Second.
Bernard Miles. Anybody questions or comments?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Make a motion that the board adjourn at 7:04.
I second.
Cecil, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all, this meeting's adjourned.